On our previous videos, we did mention stuffs like the spread, the bid and the ask price, the long, the short, and the flat terminology when it comes to Forex trading. But now, so long as you remain a Forex trader, any day you open your Forex chart, there is a terminology which you're going to see, or there's a particular word which you're going to see, which is what we call the PIP. So on today's video, we're going to be covering what is a PIP and how you can be able to accurately calculate it on your chart and how you can be able to implement it on your trading. Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Ndemazeah Godlove. On this channel, we talk everything about business, personal finance, Forex, and tips to help you stay profitable as a Forex trader. So if this is your first time coming to my channel, or if this is your first time watching my content, please hit the subscribe button below to subscribe so that you can be informed once I come up with relevant content like this. If you are subscribed to the channel, at least you're also going to be able to follow us along the course and also leave a thumb up on the video. So on today, on our table of content today, we shall be covering things like what is a PIP, all right? So we shall cover things like what is a PIP. We shall also cover things like what is a pipette or a point, because a pipette also means a point in Forex trading. We shall also cover something, how can you calculate pips and how to read pips and point, how to calculate the pip and how to read the pips and the point. So those are the things we're going to be covering on today's video, okay? So with that being said, let's go to this, what they say, what is a PIP? What is a PIP? So in general, anytime in Forex trading, you hear of the PIP. The PIP stands for percentage in point. All right, the PIP stands for percentage in point, which is the lowest movement or the lowest increment when it comes to Forex trading. So you can see a PIP stands for percentage in point, and it is the least decimal of any currency code. The least decimal of any currency code. So that is what they call a PIP. So, for example, we did mention earlier that, okay, if you take something like Euro USD, obviously you will see Euro USD, they might write the code like 1.1. They might write the quote like 1.1645. So this is the quote. This is the quote between Euro USD. All right. So on this quote, which of these digits do you call the PIP? All right. So which of these digits do you call the PIP? And if you see, according to our definition, a PIP stands for percentage in point, which is the least. All right. Which is the least decimal of any currency code. The least decimal of any currency code. This is our currency code. On this currency code, the first one, Euro USD, which of these digits, which of this is the least decimal? The least decimal here is 5. All right, as simple as that. The least decimal here is 5. The PIP value here is 5. And if we take USD Japanese yen, if you can see Euro Japanese yen, we have now, instead of having 1 point something, we instead have 112.75. All right, we have 112.75. On this quote, on the second quote, which of this is the least decimal? The least decimal here is what? Is 5. Simple as that. The least decimal here is 5. Any other currency you see on Forex, any other quote you see on Forex, they will follow this same. They will follow this same system. All right. So that's why you see here I have the PIP, and if you come down, the PIP is this one and this one. So that is the PIP. And now when you start going ahead, instead of just seeing one quote like this, instead of just seeing one quote or one price like this, any particular currency pair will normally have two prices, which is what we call the bid price and the ask price. And if you subtract the bid price from the ask price from the bid price, you have what we call the spread. And that spread is measured in terms of pips. All right. So that spread is measured in terms of pips. So that's just what we can say when it comes to pips. All right. So here we also have what is a pipette or a point. Because in Forex, remember we mentioned of a PIP, but what if the PIP is not the smallest increment? What if the PIP is not the smallest movement when it comes to Forex trading? Because in Forex trading, every particular tick, remember the PIP, the pipette or the points is measuring the ticks in the market. Any tick the market goes up or down. If the market goes up or down, the movements are measured in terms of pips. All the movements are measured in terms of pips. What if I tell you the smallest movement is not a pip? The smallest movement is actually the pipette. You can call it the pipette or point. All right. So the smallest movement in the Forex market is called the pipette or the point, or it's called the fractional pip. So a pipette or the point is also a fractional pip. It's a fractional pip. All right. So that is why I said here, the pipette is also known as points or fractional pips, and it is a 10 of a point. All right. It is a 10 of a point. So if you see anything they say, if anytime you see they say 10 pips, 10 pips, and since they said a point or a pipette is a 10 of a point, it means this will be equal to 100 points. 100 points. 100 points. All right. 100 points. So 10 pips is equal to 100 points. 1 pip is equal to 10 points. Since it is said here very clearly that a pipette or a point is a 10 of a point. So anytime you open your MT4, if you open your MT4, normally you have a chart like this, all right? And here you have the currency quote. You have the currency quote somewhere here, and you have your chart going up like this, like this. This is where you read your currency quote. But here, anytime you click your mouse and you want to measure the number of pips, and you want to measure the number of pips here, they normally show you the number of pips in terms of points. All right, they normally show you the pips in terms of points. So for you to be able to deduce, for you to be able to come out with the total number of points or the total number of pips from that point, you just divide it by 10. So if you draw on your chart, let's just say the United States dollar, let's just say Great Britain pound USD, and you take your mouse, because when you click your mouse, it shows you in terms of points. So if you just click your mouse and it shows you 100 points, it shows you 100 points. So 100 points will be equal to how many pips? All right. So a pip, for you to be able to calculate a pip, is going to be 1/10 of a point. All right. So you multiply 1/10 times 100. So this will be equal to 10 pips. 10 pips, which is the same thing we've explained here. The same thing. A pip is a 10. A point is a 10 of a pip. Meaning a pip is 1/10 of a point. Simple. A point in Forex, a point or a pipette or a point in Forex is a 10 of a pip. So you multiply it by 10. And a pip is 1/10 of a point. So for you to have a pip now, you divide the total number of pips you have by 10. You have the total pips. So that's just what they call a pipette or a point when it comes to Forex trading. It's just the smallest increment in the Forex market, and it's a 10 of a pip. So if I just show you, I say, okay, you made 1,000, or let's just say you made 100 pips today. It means you made 1,000 points, since a point is 1/10 of a pip. Good. So that's the same explanation we can have when it comes to that. So how to read pips and points? All right, how to read pips and points. We have this same figure on the board. Let's see how we can be, based on what I've explained, how can we read the pips and points from this particular chart. So the first digit, remember we mentioned earlier that a pip is the last. All right, we mentioned earlier that a pip is the last decimal of any currency quote. The last decimal of any currency quote. And if we check here, the pip is always, in most cases there's a standard. Each currency pair has a quote. And in situations where the quote has 4 decimal places to the left of any digit, let's just take something like Great Britain pound USD equal to 1.1345. All right. So you see, how many decimals do we have after this one? We have 4 decimal places. So since we have 4 decimal places, the last digit here becomes the pip. The last digit here becomes the pip. So that standard is when you have currency pairs that have 2 decimal places after the first digit, 2 decimal places and 4 decimal places will follow this same structure. But see, what about this situation where you have something like NZD USD? Let's just take something like NZD USD, and let's assume the exchange rate here is 1.34567. So you see, so how many decimal places do we have after this one? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 decimal places instead of 4. So in situations where we have 5 decimal places instead of 4, the last one instead becomes a point. The last one will become a point, and the second to the last will become a pip. As simple as that. So the last one will become a point, since we already mentioned earlier that a point is a 10 of a pip, while a pip is 1/10 of a point. So in situations where your currency or any quote is having 5 decimal places, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the fifth one becomes a point, and the second to the last one becomes a pip. So that's how you measure it. And now these are situations where you have 5 decimal places. And another scenario, you might also have another one like United States USD JPY equal to 1.234, all right? Equal to 1.334. You see here, after the 1, we have 3 decimal places instead. So the last one also will become a point instead of a pip. The last one will become a point. So in a situation where after the one or after the digit, you have 3 or 5 decimal places, the last decimal place becomes a point instead of a pip. So that's what you have to just put at the back of your mind. All right. So here we instead have the last digit here will be a point, and the last digit here will be a point. And here the pip will be the second to the last digit, and here the pip is the second to the last digit. But in situations where the currency exchange rate or the currency quote is having 4 decimal places after the digit, or 2 decimal places after the digit, the last digit becomes the pip. The last digit is the pip. That is why here you see this is the pip, the last digit here is the pip. All right? So just have that at the back of your mind so that you'll be able to explain. Once I explain, you'll be able to understand once I explain this structure to you. All right? So so with that being said, let's see this particular quote, this particular exchange rate or this particular quote. Remember we stated earlier, this is our first digit here. All right, this is our first digit. We have that particular quote. It can be Great Britain Pound USD, it can be USD Japanese yen or any other one. But our quote here is 1.23456. After this quote, how many digits do we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So since we have 5 decimal places after the digit, the last one should be what? Remember from our explanation, once we have 5 decimal places after the digit, the last one becomes a point instead of a pip. So this one, 6 becomes a point. So this one is 6 points. So 6 points is equal to how many pips? Remember, a pip is 1/10 of a point. So you divide this by 10, you have the pips. So if you divide 6 by 10, you have how many? Simple as that. If you divide 6 by 10, you have 0.6 pips. All right, 0.6 pips. So that one is the explanation of that. But good, let's just assume now this currency pair is having 4 decimal places. It ends here 4 decimal places. 1, 2, 3, 4. The fourth one, as according to my explanation here, the fourth one is equal to what? A pip, not a point. So the fourth one here becomes a pip. That's why we have 5 pips here. All right, that's why we have 5 pips. This one will represent at least 40 pips. This one will represent 300 pips, 2,000 pips. Then this one will represent 10,000 pips. So the explanation, what you have to understand is this last 2 digits. If the currency pair is having 5 decimal places at the end of the first digit, the last one becomes a point, which to have points, to have the pips from that point, you divide by 10. And the second to the last becomes the pips. So that's what I've been explaining. You see this is a generalized statement. When you open any currency pair, it will follow either this system of 4 decimal places, or have a system of 5 decimal places, or 3 decimal places. So it's in two sets, either 4 decimal places or 2 decimal places, or 5 decimal places, or 5 or 3 decimal places. So they'll either have one of that structure, and anytime you see that, that's how you read the number of pips or the number of points from that particular currency rate. All right. So with that being said, we've come to the end of this particular session. So if you've gotten some value so far, if you've understood this one, and if you've also enjoyed it, please leave a thumb up on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. Please subscribe to the channel and also leave a thumb up on the video, please, so that you'll be able to stay updated once I come up with content like this. So till then, I'll be able to see you guys on another lesson. Peace.